Great to see you, man. Thanks for
You too,
taking
bro.
time today. Oh my gosh. It's
Sure.
it's a Thursday here in Ohio, in good old Medina, south of Cleveland. It's 60s today. It's
I'm
November
looking
10th,
62 and sunny.
62 and sunny.
It's
And
incredible.
full disclosure, Vanessa and I have already started decorating for Christmas. We have everything up but the tree. So for those of you watching, it is November 10th. No shame whatsoever at all. The older we get,
Yep.
the faster this time of the year goes.
Yes, sir.
Everybody embrace it. Whatever holiday you celebrate, decorate early if you decorate.
Embrace the
Get the
holiday.
feels. Embrace it.
Don't
Embrace
wait
it.
to the last minute.
Don't wait till the last minute. Be a kid. Allow yourself to be a kid. And we're going to do a breaking it down about the holiday
I
season and what
can't
it
wait
means
to
to
do that.
us.
I can't wait to do that, bro. Do you know that I just to your point, I'm so glad you brought this up. On November 1st. So we love Halloween with the kids. We do a whole thing.
Yeah.
Halloween's a huge celebration. The next day, November 1st, we start watching Christmas movies.
There it is. This is there. Amen. Amen. Slow clap here because this is amazing. And, before, again, we're going to probably have to record this holiday episode in the next couple of weeks. But before we get to that episode, I was thinking about you earlier this week when I had a chance to listen to your recent 7-minute story that came out. Link is in the comment section. You guys, if you haven't subscribed to 7-minute stories, it's a must listen podcast that Aaron hosts and created. Episode called The Disclosure. And it's funny because I didn't know a whole lot about this event from high school. I believe it was it sophomore junior
Year. So it was like sophomore junior year, I think. I can't remember exact, but it was like 10th, 11th grade time period.
Yeah, there it is. It's funny because where I live, I hear like the high school band on Friday nights. Like you probably hear it too, the football games. And I'm like all these high school memories are coming back. Good ones this time, not me escaping, which is a episode that youll have to listen to here.
Right. There are some good memories for sure.
There are some good memories. And one of them, I had to ask you to do this episode because I wanted to learn more. I believe there was a film you were in sophomore, junior year that completely changed your life in high school, right? There's 500 kids where you became an overnight celebrity. Your life changed. You basically were probably signing autographs in the hallway. The girls that never would have talked to you, they were embracing you. You became an overnight sensation from a film that you put together or your team put together in high school. I want to know more about this. Like the 7-minute story was phenomenal. There's some other things.
There's a lot more to unpack. Yeah, yes.
Can we unpack that? And before we get to that, what I also find interesting is it wasn't all of what you thought at the end after the celebrity status, and it had an impact on you. Can you tell us more about that? I want to learn more about this.
Yeah, a little bit of a twist ending, which we'll get to, or at least an unexpected ending. Okay. But you're right. There is that day. It was the day of a screening, actually, of a film that I was a part of, and we screened it in front of the entire high school. And anybody who's gone to high school knows you want to feel seen. Like in some way, no matter what, even people who are like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Everyone acts out in different ways. We all have the different styles. We all have the different click. But really at the end of the day, most people, you just want to have your one shining moment, right? You and I did, bro. We told stories about on this podcast, being in bands. We're going to talk about we've wanted things so bad that, in fact, band members have attacked each other. There's going to be a story like that one of our seasons. Listen, when you are pursuing something you want to do, especially in high school where you have your whole future in front of you, you know what I'm saying? You don't have the type of obligations that you do as an adult. So just like the world is your oyster kind of thing. And so you have these big dreams. Bro, this was an unexpected situation, but I'll go back to the beginning of how this started, actually. Please. Because it actually started because a friend of mine, and he was actually just kind of an acquaintance, this guy named Jay. I'll just keep it at that, for the show. But my friend Jay, he was walking down the hallway one day and he's like, hey, I'm doing this movie and I want you to be in it. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. And it was a nice, you're a kid. But when he did ask me, I actually had to weigh some things because you and I at the time were in a band together.
Little did I know something was going on behind the scenes here.
Yeah, here I have to tell you. So we were in a band together, and we were in a band called Downward Spiral. And let's be honest. And to be honest, listen, man, it wasn't you and me that were making the band go in a downward spiral. We were part of it. Again, teasing a future episode. Our band was collapsing. And so you and I, and this is important to say, you and I had been in this band working on stuff, playing gigs, trying to get noticed musically, and things weren't going exactly as we planned, right? And so the band was in a difficult like stasis. We were in a difficult spot. And so when Jay came up to me in the hallway and was like, hey, I want you to be in this movie, I kind of was in my mind as being a high school kid, right? I'm like,
right.
Well, I was like, what am I going to do about my rock star career? These are legitimate conversations in my head, right? You know what I'm talking about.
This is real stuff for everybody. I hope those of you that are watching this can relate. Like you said it best. We're in high school. This is rock star status. I mean, whether you're on the captain of the football team, captain of the volleyball team, cheerleading squad, or you're into more of the creative arts, this is a big deal. Being in a band, doing film projects, this stuff can really catapult overnight sensation. It can catapult people into careers down the road, which led to, where we're at today in our creative endeavors. But yeah, absolutely, Aaron.
And listen, those dreams though, Anthony, you know this, like those dreams, we kind of make fun of them because of how idealistic we are at the time, how optimistic we are. Anyone who's watching, in your high school, in your mind, you're like, yeah, I have this vision. But listen, it might sound like it's pie in the sky, but there's evidence to show that it can happen. Look how many bands start in high school. Look how many famous bands and artists and musicians get their start in high school with their contemporaries. It just happens that way. So it's no wonder that we were trying to model ourselves after a lot of our favorite bands that we were listening to. And they got a lot of their starts when they were young, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. There's not a lot of bands forming at like 57. Nothing wrong with 57. It's going to be a great year when we get there. But there's not a lot of bands coming together. The origin story usually doesn't start, hey, I was 57 working as an accountant and I picked up a guitar and something special happened. It usually starts earlier. So we had that stereotype. So when Jay asked me to be in this student film, I was like, I don't know. I kind of felt a conflict. I felt like, I don't know, like I wasn't sure if it was going to be something that,
before we go any further in the story, from what I remember in the 7-minute story version, it sounds to me, and I could be wrong, quote me if I'm wrong, that Jay propositioned like this to you with, like you had to make a decision, it sounds like. Not an ultimatum, but Aaron, look, this is a big deal. This is a big project. I don't know if you can really focus on being in Downward Spiral and this film project at the same time. So you probably had some type of internal battle going on, like, hey, my best friend Anthony, Downward Spiral, which went downward, whole nother story, or this new film project, which could be like a fresh start. Am I right on that?
You're totally right. So he was pretty serious, and I want to give him credit because he was the one that spearheaded the whole student film thing. I had never acted or did anything like that. And he said to me, hey, listen, I want you to do this. And he's like, you're going to be the villain in this action film. Right. So I was like, that's amazing. By the way, the action film was a classic 90s. It was like, government secrets and government agents and one lone, do-gooder who's on the run. It's like a really cheesy storyline, but it was amazing. But he said, if you want to do this, I'm going all in. You have to commit to this. And it was my first real, like, I was like, man, if I commit to this fully, what does that mean for Downward Spiral? What does that mean for us? And in fact, I think the band actually, I believe, whether it was on purpose or not, actually, I believe broke up during the beginning portions of doing this film.
This is all new news to me, folks. I've known Aaron since preschool. We're both like 39 years old.
I know I'm coming in hot with
You're
the
coming, yeah. I
revelations.
mean,
But
yeah.
but as you know, the way it went down, the way the band broke up, it wasn't because of this film. It was just
Are you sure?
we don't listen to the future episode of The Attack and you'll know the reason why this band broke up.
Aaron and I might have our first ever debate live on BID.
That's right.
So, I if it's okay, I have a couple questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Acting. Was this something that, like, how did this even come about? Did you do film classes in school? Was Jay just like observing you in the halls and like, hey, look at this kid. He would be I'm gonna recruit him for my film. Did you get taken out to a fancy dinner and like wined and dined to like accept the role? Were you sent a script overnight into the mail? Like, tell us more. How did you go from guitar shredding Aaron, rock star, to I'm gonna be a movie star?
Well, I think it's purely at the time it was seeking attention, right? It was knowing that I wanted to express myself in some way. And as you know, I was doing that in a band with a guitar, shredding it up, right? Shredding it up, playing solos during portions of the songs where I probably shouldn't have, where we need to return to the chorus. I'm still two-hand tapping and destroying the song. I'm making it about me. Listen, that's where it was that's what it was sourced from, why I wanted to do it. But no, dude, I had no idea. I'd never been in a movie. I didn't have any training. The only thing I ever did was I liked movies. I saw actors I liked, but I had no real training. None of that, all that training and performance and storytelling, all that stuff came later in life. This was the first time though someone said, and of course it played to my ego. Of course, he's like, I want you to be the star in a movie. Like, I'm like, well, it's a good idea.
Let me think about it.
Let me think about it. Let me talk to my agent, figure out if I can squeeze some time in. No, it was an ego thing. And it was something where, and here's the reality. And because the band Downward Spiral was going downward, I had a choice to make. Do I jump ship from one opportunity to another?
So
as that's going down, literally, Anthony, I'm jumping from one ship. And this just seemed like a legitimate opportunity, even though I had never acted before. And I say again, opportunity within the scope of high school, right? So like the scope of it was just, can I have my one shining moment? Thought it was going to be here. Maybe it'll be in this movie. And what gave me the confidence in that is what you said was Jay. This guy was so organized. I had never seen a human being this focused, organized, project manager. Who knows? He could have been taking headshots, snapshots of different people, analyzing different people that
he's in his dark room, right? Like at like 2 a.m. There's Aaron getting his book out of his locker.
It could get creepy.
He looks like a perfect villain.
He has dummies of me at home, just measuring size. Like it could have been weird, but in all seriousness, he was just he was just a really excited guy. And on top of that, he wasn't just talk, he delivered. He was like, and I knew this because he did send me a script. It was at the time, I think it was just through email. It was like a Word document. And he's like, I have a script and I have highlighted what your lines are. I want you to read through, but and so I had to read through the script and I looked at it and I was like, wow. And I was practicing my lines. And then we did a rehearsal with everybody. I was like, I didn't know what this was. We all showed up to his house. His mom's making, we got fruit snacks. His mom's making, Totino's pizza rolls in the oven.
This is insane.
It's insane. We're doing a read through. What's happening?
This is like, first of all, I got to be honest with you. I might need to have a conversation with Jay. Why wasn't I called? So Jay, if you're watching this, if you have any projects, DM me or Aaron. I'd love to be in one. Okay. So Jay, this Downward Spiral is going downward, to your point. The name itself was foreshadowing. Jay comes along on a lifeboat.
There it is.
He has a life preserver and he's going to take you to this glorious island. You jump into the water. He throws the line out and pulls you in, and you're going on to this new found glory. I mean, you are being wined and dined by Jay's family. You have scripts you're reading off of. What did it feel like to be in the moment where you're like, okay, I think the music stuff might be on hold. This could be my thing. You had to have been on a level of high that maybe is hard to explain to some people unless you're on a stage or something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, because playing out as a musician and you gigged for many, many years, there is a feeling when you perform live, it's like nothing that you've ever experienced. I got a little bit of that with guitar. Um, the difference though is you're in a band, right? So the focus isn't just on you, it's on
Right.
the entire band, and it's good to be a part of that. For me, I was just bro, I just wanted I don't know what I wanted. I know I liked expressing myself. I know I liked telling stories. I just didn't think that performing was an actual thing you could do. It was just something
Right.
that other people did in California. It was just like you had movie stars and you had people from Ohio, and they were just different people.
Right.
It's just like it just wasn't possible. But when he asked me to be in this film, again, even though it's a student film, it is a high because what would happen is we would do these read throughs and I found myself liking embodying the character. I liked the performance part of it. And I noticed a couple of things. I noticed that when I was reading lines, that the people on the table and the other they found it to be interesting the way that I did it.
Mm.
I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know. I just knew I got a reaction. People were like, "Oh, that was really good. The way you did that." And I was like, "Oh, I got this confidence." And so
Okay.
it was this confidence building thing. And I remember even actually, it's funny because it wasn't, I'm just remembering this now. It wasn't even the movie itself at first. It was the get-togethers that we would have with the cast. And of course, since we're kids, it would be our parents.
Hmm.
And after these read-throughs, we'd be eating pizza,
Hmm.
getting a personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut, right?
There it is.
Coming in,
Oh, so good.
there it is.
Oh,
Maybe a stuffed crust. Who
oh,
knows what could be showing up? Got a Canada Dry or maybe a Dr. Pepper, right? In a red plastic cup with some ice. We're just sitting around and I'm telling stories and I have an audience. I have a cast and I'm sitting there and Jay's mom actually said to me, she goes, "You should go into like stand-up comedy or performing or something." I was like, "I don't know. It's weird." It again, I didn't make that. She said that to me. So it was these moments being part of the movie and then the it just opened up a whole new world. And then
right.
I realized, wait a second, like maybe I could be in the movies, or maybe I could do something like this where I
Right.
perform and I share stuff with an audience. That's where it started. Then we would show up to these sets. Anthony, we're in high school.
This is the part that's very intriguing to me.
We're showing up to government buildings. We have credentials on. Jay has curated relationships with people. He's 18. We're walking into government buildings. We have access to entire factories and warehouses.
This is crazy.
He's got a set. There's explosions happening on set. Like there's TNT. He had special effects. He was
Wow.
able to leverage like all the equipment from the school. It was a real lesson in like someone being able to not just have an idea, but to
Right.
to do something with that and then persuade people. Listen, I'm gonna
Right.
be honest with you. When you do that for good, you can do a lot of good. And Jay did a lot of good and helped, he's still in the film business to this day. It also shows you the power that people who have that kind of power, you could persuade people. Jay could have started a cult. Like, listen, I don't mean to go on a tangent here. He had people, Anthony, he had law enforcement, local law enforcement, and they're like, yeah, come on in. And like they were showing us how to, I'm just sharing in the action scenes, like how to use a gun, like what's the proper way
Wow.
to,
They were involved at
they
that
were
level.
involved.
A
And
high
then
school film.
and they let us like do stuff in the school. And you have to understand, this is a very serious pause here. I was just talking to Jay on the phone about this actually after the 7-minute story came out. Another layer to this is an action movie, right? And so it's pretend, but we had firearms or run around. It's a movie. It's like any action movie. You see there's action sequences and simulated violence. Well, this was right on the backdrop of Columbine.
Oh, wow.
It was actually right afterwards. So the fact that Jay was able to even allow the participation of the school and everybody in at all was incredible, just
Yeah.
considering the environment. And clearly
Right.
our intentions were just like, we want to make a movie, right?
Right.
We weren't thinking as kids about the larger ramifications of imagery and all that kind of stuff. So he persuaded them. And I think the other thing is honestly, the school itself, they really vetted the project and they were cool to actually let us follow our dreams, and they checked in. They made sure there was like a lot of discussion of should we screen it or should we, they in fact made us change the posters because there was some violent imagery on the poster.
Mm,
So they were vetting it, but I think they knew what our intentions were and they were cool to let it happen, and
wow.
nothing bad happened. In fact, something actually incredible happened the day that we screened the film. So yeah, we filmed it, dude. I was in character. I had this giant, I was too big for this suit because I'm 5'3", like 120 pounds, but I'm the bad guy. And it was hilarious. It was just a cool experience to be on the set with your friends and performing. I thought, who knows, man? Maybe this is the ship that is going to take me
Yeah.
to a possible future.
So, first of all, thank you for sharing all that because this is amazing. I'm learning a lot of this stuff
You
for the
didn't know
first
you
time.
didn't know a lot
It's
about this, did you? We
no,
haven't really, yeah.
it's incredible. And I remember watching it in school, which we're going to talk about here momentarily, but a little bit more about like your role. Like, what was your character's name?
I don't remember my character's name. I think it was just the lead agent. And
See,
so
that's awesome.
if you
Yeah,
think if you've seen the Matrix, it's like what's the main Mr. Anderson, that guy, like
something like that.
something like I'm the lead agent. I
Yeah.
was the lead agent. And then there was two for my friend Adam, and another, I think his name was Rob. And they were like the two kind of goon agents that would just follow me around. But I had most of the lines. So they were silent. And I
Okay.
would have these one-liners of like,
Yeah.
these ridiculous one-liners of like, I can't even remember, but I would come into the scene, we would chase someone, get there. And there was just a lot of violence. I was like shooting a lot of people. It was like crazy.
So,
Uh
so
yeah.
So you had to go like how long was the filming process? Let me ask that, and then I have a couple more questions, and then I want to get to the day of.
Yeah, few months. It lasted a few months. So like we're in school, so we would do this after school and on the weekends.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So almost a few months, yeah.
So was it challenging to turn it off? Like, okay, you're going like first period, second period, all the way up to eighth period. It's like blasé, it's boring, it's school, right?
Yeah.
Then you turn that off. The book bag goes into the locker, the Gatorade comes with you, maybe. You go from Aaron student
Yeah.
to Aaron the movie star, and then you have to turn it off again to go back to first period the day after shooting. Was it hard to come out of that? And I know there's more to this, like
Yeah.
because of the screening, but even just the day to day, like, did you find it hard to go back to normal life? Like you had to go home and say, like, "Hey, mom," and then your mom's like, "Did you do your homework?" You're like, "Hey, look, I just got done filming an action scene. I'll worry about it later."
Yeah.
You know?
Here's the reality. I didn't have to turn it off. It wasn't hard because school was never turned on.
There. See, this is honest
Aaron, the
conversation.
student, he was just a budding movie star that happened to sit in school for 6 hours.
There it is.
I was getting C's and D's. Like, and I made a distinctive choice to abandon all my, listen, you
This
know
was
how
your
this is.
rocket ship out.
There's a rocket ship launching and someone's asking you to take a Spanish 2 test. Guess what? I'm going into outer space with Matthew McConaughey because we got planets to find. I'm
Hopefully, you
not.
don't run into Dr. Man.
Tell us about our world. It's cold and it's bleak, but it's habitable. Listen, that was it. So it wasn't hard to turn off because I'm just, dude, I let everything slip. I didn't study. I was just talking about the film all day. I was going to school just so I could see, just like we saw each other in the hallways,
Yeah,
just to see my friends in the hallway. I got a question for you though.
here it comes.
What were you thinking? Did you know I was going through this whole movie star thing while our band was falling apart? I'm coming in hot and ask you right now. And you
I
mentioned,
wish I
well, yeah, did you have a sense of that was happening?
I wish I had a recollection of like what was going on in that moment, but I will say I do vaguely remember like there started to become a distance like from the band. Like we're not doing practices. Travis didn't seem inspired. So I think like I just kind of collectively looked at it and I'm like, maybe the band's just not working out. Little did
Right.
I know that, you were on this film project. But honestly, like I'm thrilled to learn all of this because it's an amazing opportunity. So you guys filmed for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Did you guys do like a pre-screening kind of like they do like the red carpet like the cast arrives, maybe you bring friends and family. Was there any type of event where it was just the actors and maybe family to watch the film before it goes to the big screen?
We did that. We did it with family and friends, and it was awesome. But the other thing we were worried about was a pre-screening where we had to show it to the school board.
Right.
So they actually had to watch the film first before they let it air. And in fact, they actually they we had edits, final edits that we had to make to the film
Okay.
to take out violent elements because there was violent even more. So there was things that got cut from the film just because I mean, what were we doing? This is like an education. This is school. It's like action films with people blowing each other up. So even though it was creative, it was still
Right.
hilarious. So that was the one I was worried about. So we screened it, man. We screened it in front of the entire school board. But then after the cuts, they said this was the best thing. Jay pushed for this. He goes, since you've approved this, can we screen it for the entire school to watch? And somehow he was
Wow.
able to get them, and this is where you saw it
Yeah.
probably. He got them to allow us to screen this movie for the entire school. And so
Yeah.
everybody got to miss a class from ninth grade to seniors. And so thousands of people came to see this. The
I
auditorium.
remember.
What do you remember? Did you see the posters? What was going through your mind where you're like, my guitarist, what is this just a side project?
So,
So
so
what's
there,
Aaron like?
there,
What's going on?
there comes a moment where there comes a moment in time. Lead singer of Downward Spiral here. The band's not working out. I haven't talked to you as much. Again, no ill will.
No
There
ill
was no
will.
beef between us. It's just like,
No.
look, you were involved in this underground film project, which became above ground. And I do remember seeing posters doing a double take. I think that's Aaron. So he's on this poster. There's posters all over the school board. There's announcements being made. This film disclosure.
Do you remember that?
I remember it.
Oh,
That you get to like pick that they're going to be screened like these periods throughout the day. And I remember the auditorium, it was on the right-hand side when you walked in the halls. The seats were blue. It was
yes.
beautiful. It was a pretty decent sized auditorium. So I was like, this is my best friend. He's now a movie star. Like, what is happening? I remember just thinking, like, I just couldn't wait to see the film. Like, this is exciting. First of all, I get to see you in a film. Second of all, I get to miss an entire period of class.
That's the key.
Win,
Right.
sign me up. So you guys do the screening, you get
Yeah.
it approved. Jay pulls some strings. You're able to talk the school into allowing students to miss education to see the film, which I think is important because film creativity and showing that and inspiring others is super important,
For
right?
sure.
So talk to me about the night before you knew this was going to be screened in front of the entire school.
Well, I was just it was one of the best nights of my life because I was already planning, who I was going to sign with what agency.
There it is.
I was waiting for the call from Steven Spielberg to come in. Hey, we're doing a Jurassic Park sequel. We want you to be the main lead. I mean, it was an extremely exciting prospect. And the fact also, I was a little nervous because the whole school was going to watch it. And then I was like, oh shit, was my performance any good?
Right.
Were they going to enjoy it? So that was the night before. It was a lot of like anticipating and also just kind of fearful. The day of walking into the school is fantastic. I remember seeing Jay, and from the morning we got there, the whole crew, we go into we just sat in the auditorium all day. And if you remember, students every period, new batch 150 students, 200 students would come into the auditorium. They would do a quick introduction. We would introduce the cast. We sat down, and I remember during the first screening of the film, hearing people like, here's the thing. There was a lot of joy and laughing. And we were all laughing because we knew, even though we had these ideas of grandeur, like we knew we were still kids and we knew it was a student film. We knew it wasn't perfect. And so we were laughing at the parts that were silly. We were laughing at, it was just the joy of seeing your contemporaries in this medium. And you got to understand too, people listening, you got to understand this was a hard thing to do. We didn't have iPhones. We didn't have cameras. I didn't have a cell phone till I was a freshman in college. So like we had to use digital cameras which were not that good, and lighting and editing. There was a lot of work that just to make this short film, to make it happen, and the posters and all that stuff, like Jay and everybody else involved. I just showed up and just acted like an idiot on screen. But what we did was we did this we did this project, and to see it manifested on the screen in all seriousness was like, this is cool to be a
Wow.
part of something. And to hear other people kind of laughing along with it. And it wasn't like, haha, what a loser. It was like, dude, that was awesome. Like you put yourself out there. Like it was cool that you went out there and tried something and it made us laugh and it was fun and we missed class. It was at every period that came in. It was like
Wow.
that. It was a joyful experience. And then the applause afterwards. Bro, it was
It
dangerous. It was
yeah.
dangerous. That the attention, I started getting like my ego. I was like, man, I've hit a nerve here, and people are noticing. This is my shining moment.
This is
I was
I
levitating.
it's funny because I
Oh,
think I can well, we both can relate to that feeling from performing at our uh school show called Spice, right? Like you feel that. Like it's hard to
oh,
come off the high. Like not to talk about that, get back to your screening. So you must have felt like a red carpet type of experience, right? You walk
totally.
into that auditorium, you f- I can only
Reserved
imagine the
seats
feel.
in the front. Reserved seats.
There's reserve seats. You
Yeah,
basically feel like Leonardo DiCaprio arriving for the Titanic
for
premiere,
sure.
right?
The
Which you kind of
feeling is the same.
resemble. You resemble
Bi-
Leo, I believe.
me and Leo, very big
You
heads.
guys have similar features, which
Yeah,
is was a huge compliment, right? Leo.
he's a goat.
So he's a goat. So you get in, you're in your reserve spots. Talk to me about your dress that day. So like, did you change anything about your day to day, like how you dressed, how you felt 2 days before screening, and then the day of screening? Was there a pep in your like another pep in your step?
Mhm.
Was your eye level a little higher as you were walking down the hallway?
Actually, no, so more emotionally excited, but I didn't change anything about
That day.
that day. So that was just showing up because I didn't know what was gonna happen. I actually was fearful that people were gonna laugh at us like,
Okay.
"Losers."
It's an
Like, I
honest
had a
moment.
ton of fear that people were gonna be like, "What a bunch of lo," especially like there's upperclassmen, there's hot chicks showing up,
Right.
girls that I wanted to impress. So, no, I didn't do that. It was actually after the screening, after the day was over,
Okay.
I started thinking about I have a whole image change that has to happen the next day. So I had to actually think about the day after. When this continues, I thought,
Mm,
when the attention blows up even more, when I'm doing interviews with Barbara Walters at the school, because when the national, listen, people might be there. I guarantee there's people listening and be like, why are these guys talking about high school? Like, the reason why is clearly we're joking. We know within high school, we're laughing about it. But when you're in it, anybody that's following along knows this. When you're in those moments,
right.
it is real. Like it is
Right.
so important to you. So you got to look back and have fun with these moments. You have to try to break down what was going on, because the way we react to the moments then and how we react now, it's interesting to explore. So no, I didn't think about it the day of, but I thought after the screening, like, because as you said, to come full circle, some things started happening the afternoon after the screening, because it wasn't the whole day. It was like, so there's about a couple hours left in school and we got out of class for the whole day. So all I did was just walk around the hallways during the last 2 hours, and essentially go to the vending machine, get a couple of Twinkies,
There it
who
is.
knows, maybe a Gatorade, lemon lime,
Lemon lime.
pop that out,
Questionable, but
maybe orange, who knows? But
right.
my point is, I was walking around free as a bird, and things started changing, dude. Like, girls that I had never dreamed of talking about were coming up to me after the
Really?
student film. Were like, "Hey, we should hang out sometime, right?" I was like, dude, the feeling was intoxicating.
It's a great word.
Even dudes, even guys like on the football team that I always wanted to get respect from,
Right.
they were like, "Hey, bro, nice movie, you did great." I
Yeah.
was like, I was like,
Nice
"Thanks, man."
impression.
I was like, "Just appreciate you." You know what I'm saying? They're like, "You're not half bad," that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like at the end of Karate Kid, "You're all right, Larusso." Like it's one of those moments where even the people you didn't like were giving you love. I thought my life has changed, and I got really focused. I'm going to be honest with you on that attention. And that's why that night I was like, I got to make sure I'm dressed to the nines. Who knows what dates I'm going to be going on? Who
Right.
knows where I'm going to be? I might be swept up and flown out to New York to do a showcase. I don't know. Anything could happen the next day. And that's not what happened the next day.
Before we get to that, I can't wait to hear what happens the next day. the day of, there's a couple of things that came to mind in the moment. So when you're in between screenings, right?
Mhm.
You had to go to some classes that day, right? I'm assuming.
Actually,
Or actually, no.
no,
You were off the okay, so you were
whole
off the
day.
calendar. But here's the reality. In between screenings, you could have stayed in the auditorium. You were going out into the hallways. Let's just you were
Yeah, let's be
looking,
honest.
Aaron. I have to admit, I did the same thing in between Spice. You want that? I'm gonna, you know what? I just had a Twinkie an hour ago. I'm going to get another one. You want to know why?
Yeah.
I want to be discovered. And here's the thing for everybody watching, and this is going to help. I think kind of like even drive home some of the point. It's not just students, right, that are watching this film as teachers, but here's what's going on in our brains to add on to Aaron's point. What if like John's uncle is like a director at the creative arts agency? What if somebody happens to know Steven Spielberg? What if
You never
the
know.
possibilities are endless and we are relying on someone discovering us because there wasn't Instagram, like to your point earlier,
No
there wasn't
YouTube
social
Shorts,
media,
no
there wasn't
podcasts.
a there wasn't a platform. Follow Aaron on YouTube Shorts, by the way. It's a
No
great watch.
YouTube for BID. No, there was none of this. You're right.
There was
You're
none of this.
so right. The reason why that existed because that was the only way people got discovered. You put yourself out there, and who knew who was going to be there? It
You
could be
never know.
anybody.
Anybody could be there. So you're on this high all day.
Mhm.
That's like intoxicating to your point. You get home, you're probably asking your mom, "Hey, did Susie call? Like, what girls called
Any
for me?
messages
Maybe
for me? Yeah.
got any messages? Bring them up to my room. I'll take my caviar with saltines."
Yeah. Hey, mom,
So,
can I get a pager? I'm going to be getting some calls.
can I get? We need to go to Verizon right now. I need a pager, unlimited plan. So you go upstairs, you kick your shoes off. You probably watching TV, looking at your script, probably on your nightstand, going through your closet, right?
Yeah.
I have to put myself in your shoes. What am I going to do for tomorrow? You know, I'm going to get shaved. I'm going to put some aftershave on in the
For sure.
morning. I'm gonna put my new jeans on. Maybe you went over to the local Kohl's, got yourself a new outfit. Things have changed for you in your mind. There
For
is
sure.
no going back. You're not even going to probably have to finish the school year. Maybe you're going to have a tutor because you're going to be touring the country on film festivals.
Yeah.
What was talk about getting to that next morning and what happened when you walked into school?
Well, you're right. I try to model myself after, some of the actors that I love. So Leonardo DiCaprio or Marlon Brando, right? Just like a black t-shirt, slick
Goats.
back hair, extra gel, LA looks sprayed with a little bit of hairspray and jeans, just kind of trying to mimic that look, kind of like a
Yeah.
James Dean kind of thing, like had my hands in my pockets. I remember practicing my walk of like how I would walk in the hallway or like lean against my locker and just wait for like people like, oh yeah, I was in that movie.
I,
Like you said, you put yourself on display like an animal. Like you
you were
you
willing,
like
Aaron, you were willing to do what you were going to convince yourself that this was in your life. You might have even had Marlboro Red box rolled up into your sleeve. It might
yeah.
not have been cigarettes. It might have been a crayon box, but
Or
it
candy cigarettes.
it could have been candy cigarettes. Did you have Sharpies in your pocket? Were you anticipating signing posters?
Well, what's funny is the day before I did sign a couple of posters. They were like, can we get your autograph? And they were half joking. Little did they know I was taking it seriously.
This was the biggest day yet. Did you charge for them? Hey, it's going to be $10.
On the house.
This one's on the house. Tell your friends.
Yeah, exactly. But who knows, when I get with an agent, they might charge for those appearances. So get them while they're hot. Here, listen, I show up to school the next day. New Sketcher boots from Kohl's, rolled up jeans, and maybe French rolled at the bottom.
French roll, good.
I walk into school, and what's crazy, no one said a single word to me. All the attention was gone. It was as if the miracle that happened the day before didn't happen at all. And that was the biggest kick in the stomach and learning lesson for me, because it actually hurt because I was like, oh my God, this is so fleeting. The attention. We've talked about this, Anthony. We'll continue to talk about it. I
Yeah.
think you and I give it a phrase, some terminology. I call it high school amnesia.
Mm,
And anybody that's been through high school, everyone kind of knows. Sometimes you have these really poignant experiences in high school. And because maybe it's the age, maybe I don't know why, but then all of a sudden the next day, it's like they forgot. It's like everyone forgot like that you had this moment. They forgot. And I think that's with people in general, but it's much more acute in high school where it's
yeah.
like relationships, right? One day you're getting married you're like, we're gonna get married. I love you. And the next day they're like, no, I'm going with Phil to the homecoming dance. It's over. Why is there
It's
a weird
over.
distance? It's
The
like you
world's crashing down.
one day and you're in a band with me, Downward Spiral. Next day, your guitarist is in a movie on posters, and Downward Spiral is now going down. It
I'm
happens
in
like
line trying to get your autograph. You're giving me the cold shoulder, which never happened. I just had it through.
it's like, but
Aaron,
it's
can I
like
have your
that.
autograph? Who are you?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
Anthony, is that you? You look so different, Aaron. It's been a couple days. I don't know. Things have changed. It happens like that, bro. You know what I'm talking about. Bands come and go, girls come and go, friends.
Right.
High school is so frenetic. It's so weird because
It's
it just
weird.
happens. But I think it is a sample size. It is something that is mirrored in the larger world. And so I had two things I took away from this. Luckily, I don't know where my mind was. I caught this lesson in the moment. Was I knew that at that moment attention was fleeting. That in fact my desire to have that attention continue and the ego and all the stuff, it was good. Like it was good to a point. It's good to get recognized for things that you do well. It's
Yeah.
good. But I realized my focus was on the attention.
Right.
Or it had
Ooh,
transferred from being on the art and the creativity. And what was there though, what was still there was an appreciation for the friends that I made in this movie, the
right.
opportunity to create something that gave people joy for a day, the opportunity to have a platform to create. And so that's what I realized, like, wait a second, my attention, and there was a benefit here. This still was one of the best days of my life, but not
Right.
for what I thought it was. It wasn't because of the attention. It was because friends of mine got together and I was a part of it and we made a movie together. We created something. We
Right.
created something. And that creation, regardless if we look back and laugh now because it's a silly student film, it actually at the time meant something. And I've carried that experience into my professional life now where it's
Mhm.
like I try to keep my focus on the act of creation, just like we
There
do.
it is.
We're recording these episodes. It's
Yeah.
the act of having the conversations. Yeah, down the road, there might be some people who watch this. I know with my
Right.
podcast, there's a lot of people that listen with YouTube
Yeah.
Shorts, a lot of people that like my storytelling. That
Yes.
I've developed an audience with that, and that feels good. But bro, I use the story I just told you today as a checkpoint. As soon as I start getting too high on my own supply, as soon as I start feeling like, oh no, because it could go like that. It could literally, everybody could abandon you tomorrow. And
Mhm.
all you got left is your circle of friends, the people you
Wow.
love, and the art that you create. That's that's what what you create, by the way.
Yeah.
A student film is just a small, minuscule example. But when you start getting in the world of creating stories or art or movies where a lot of people see it, the wave of attention might come and go, but there's always someone who's going to find what you did
Right.
and be helped by it.
Right.
That's the one attention quotient that I really focus on is if there's that one person. I know it's kind of generic, but if there's that one
No,
person who sees it, that one, I keep it intimate like that. I keep it intimate. So I've
we
taken
have
it to
to.
this day. Yeah.
Yeah, we absolutely have to. So to bring us to a close, I could say this. The morning that you got up after the film and you put your new Skechers on and you put your new jeans and you slicked back your hair, right?
Yeah.
And you felt alive. The following day, when that was deflated, you still got up and you put those sneakers on, you put those jeans on, but you had a little bit a different pep in your step and maybe you felt a little bit more grounded and realized like, hey, you know what, um, things are going to be not as I anticipated, but that's okay.
It's
You still
okay.
put those on. You had a learning experience, and to your point, you have that memory, you have that film forever. And going through something like that in life, I think, is very humbling. It builds confidence, and it really can build a landscape, a foundation at an early age that you can take into now. So I'm really grateful that you shared that experience with, like, not only me, but just everybody watching.
Hell yeah, man. And listen, it's you can mirror this. A lot of this is funny, right? We're laughing about high school, but in all seriousness, you can do one of two things with experiences. You could learn from them, or you can let them define you.
There
Right.
it
So
is.
so there are a lot of people, I get it, not even now, like contemporaries, people, people watching, they know something happens to them that they don't expect, that they didn't want, or their career goes a certain way, or something
Right.
happens, attention isn't paid to what, and they get lost
Right.
in that void. They get lost in the, oh God, no, all the attention's gone. And what happens is you start chasing it.
Mm,
And your life, literally, you start forgetting what's in front of you, start forgetting the
right.
project, the meaningful stuff, and you're chasing, chasing, chasing. And here's the thing, you'll never catch it because it's never permanent.
Mm,
It's never permanent. As soon as you catch it, you bottle it and you get a day like I had, right? Or you get a day where you, dude, 10 days later, the world goes on and you're left going, what about me? And they go, yeah, you're just like, you're so small in the world. You're so small
mm.
in the scheme of the universe. Yeah, you're lucky to even get your 15 minutes. And then you chase it again.
You chase it again.
Don't want to chase attention. Just,
Yeah.
let it come and go through you and just be appreciative for what you have. That's what I've tried to do.